Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Finch Runtly. This is a very interesting little design, and it was inspired from a very interesting piece, which we will get to here in just a second. Before I go any further, thanks for tuning in today and checking out the episode. If you like what you see, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Your support would mean a whole lot to me and help strengthen my efforts in growing this channel to do nothing more than just talk knives with a bunch of cool people and enjoy life a little more. So without further ado, let's check this knife out. Some quick specs: we have an overall length of 5.5 inches, close length of 3.25 inches, blade length coming in at 2.25 inches, blade thickness at 0.115, this steel being N690, as you know, rather comparable to VG10, just made from a European maker. It's going to give some very good corrosion resistance and also hold a very nice edge. A nice Wharncliffe blade with a two-tone finish of satin flats and stonewash grind. G10 on the scales. Pocket clip is right hand only, tip up carry. Nice little detailed pocket clip. We'll get to that in a second. Liner lock with a very secure lockup. Overall weight coming in at 3.15 ounces and a grand total of a whopping, not that whopping, $139. For the steel, for the design, for the feel and quality, I don't really have any too big issues at $139. You know, it's kind of right there on that limit for me, but would not stop me from pulling the trigger after I've had this in hand for a little while. Now, as I said, this model is $139, but there is also a new release that just hit Blade HQ, and I'm sure some other retailers, that sports a DLC black-coated blade with some red scales. They got some green scales, some ghost green, which is kind of like the natural G10 look. Pretty sweet designs. Those ones are a lot easier to find than this one, and those ones come in at $144, which the DLC coating always adds a few bucks, but for just a $5 increase, that's not too bad at all. So real quick, let's do some size comparisons. Let's start off with the EDC Hall of Fame of the Benchmade Bug Out and the Paramilitary 2 from good old Spyderco. And as you can see, if you didn't pick up from the specs when I listed them, this is a pretty small knife. It's not very big at all, but it is designed for a couple specific tasks, and we'll touch more on that here in a second. Let's get rid of these and let's take a look. Let's take a look at this whole beautiful Finch family together, because here we have the Finch Tacuna, and along with also the model 1929, which is probably my favorite of the three. If I had to pick one, I really love the action on this 1929. It is a sweet, snappy, quick, just feels good. So there you have the three Finch knife lineup, and I gotta say, you see some similarities. You see that nice choil that's on all of them to rest your finger. It's not something you want to bear down and work hard with all day, but it's great for just EDC cutting tasks, and it adds a nice little bit of grip without looking too gaudy. So definitely a big fan of that. But these are more just for size comparisons. So as you can see, there's those. Now let's get more directly right into this guy right here. Now, what is pretty cool about this knife, I was talking with Spencer, the owner of Finch Knife Company, and the inspiration to design this knife came from his vintage lure collection. And I did a little more digging. I was looking at reading the descriptions on some of the retailers, and from what DLT Trading had listed, that this model was designed specifically after the Hedon River Runt. So the name Runtly, that kind of falls in line. So I tried to find some pictures, and of course, you know, Google has everything. So here is an obnoxiously big picture of the Hedon River Runt, or one of them. You know, they came in all kinds of different colors, designs, models, but this is one. This is a vintage Hedon River Runt, and I gotta say, I see it. I definitely see the resemblance. Starts out a little smaller in the back, and it just kind of gets a little bigger, as it does here. It gets a little bigger. There's the eye, and the little kind of, I don't know, just a little dip right here towards the front of the lure. You have that, and then there's the I don't know the exact terminology for what this part is, but it's kind of what catches the water and makes it twist, and the blade. So it's kind of appropriate, but I definitely see the resemblance, and I really like this because what happened here, the way this was designed, when you design a knife after a fishing lure, if you take too much from the lure to make the knife, you're probably going to have an ugly knife. But they didn't. Spencer took the perfect amount of lines and a little bit of vintage flair from this lure and applied it to this knife, in my opinion, very well. It's a very attractive knife, clean lines, not too flamboyant or too annoying, just very, very pleasing, and actually, in my opinion, kind of a simple look, a simple modern look, so I like that. So there's that. There's your Hedon River Runt, and it's gonna go away. That was cheesy, but oh well. Okay, so now let's talk distinctly the blade on this guy. And this blade is just, it's nothing too special. It's just a nice short warnie, and it's going to be really good for any type of small cutting task while you're out there fishing. Usually when you're fishing, you have at least one hand busy all the time with the reel. If you're standing out there, you could be trolling or whatever. But let's assume you have a fishing rod in your hand, so you only have one other hand at best free. Usually you're using two, one to reel, one to hold the rod. So there's kind of a lot that goes into that. So this is really nice for fishing because it's going to fit very easily in your hand, in your pocket, and it's going to be really good for those little tasks like cutting fishing line, to just catch it, snag it, or put your finger on the blade and just press up against it, kind of pull away without cutting yourself. Obviously, you're pulling away, putting the tension and cutting the line like that. You have to get in and cut a little area of the fish to get the hook out. There's a lot of versatility in this blade. I really like that, especially since it's aimed towards what it's designed for and what it's inspired after. So that's pretty cool. Another area where this knife is really going to excel at, especially the blade, is breaking down boxes. Cutting through tape. If you work in a warehouse, if you work in any place where you're breaking down a lot of boxes, this is going to be great for that because it kind of has that razor edge and a very, very sharp grind. Comes down to a very pretty respectable edge. Definitely slice through any tape and boxes you need to break down. You could probably handle it all day, and so you'll get your work done with a pretty nice knife in the pocket, which is always nice. Got to appreciate that. And like I said before, I do really like the satin flats and the stone wash finish on the grind. I like the Finch there with the bold little engraving there. Engraving, laser etching, whatever that is. Pretty sweet. Little big, but also simple, and goes with the overall theme of the knife, the vintage look. It goes well. The one part of the vintage look that I personally am not a fan of, but I totally get why they did it, is the nail nick. I think a fuller would have looked better, but at the same time, fullers weren't a big thing, when you were talking the 50s or 60s. Any type of old folding knife is going to have a nail nick. And so this really needed that. It needed that, so I don't have a problem with it. I'm okay with it. I'm just personally never been a big fan of nail nicks. So that's just kind of whatever for me. But again, the grip on this guy is, for a small knife, it's pretty good. I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh no, we'll just go straight to the handles and ergos because that was really all I had to say about this blade. But yes, nice blade. Nice sharp utilitarian blade. Now the handle and ergos. For a small knife, the ergos are good. I call them really good, but for me, small knives, I've never had a small knife in my hand that I would consider excellent ergos or perfect ergos for me because I just have bigger hands. But I really like the way that I like the grip you get on this. You get it with all Finch knives because it has that little choil there that doesn't really cut into the blade. It's more added on to the blade. And there's some, good enough jimping on the back. It could be a little more aggressive for my liking, but it's still there. You still feel it. Your thumb can dig in, and it's really good for that nice little detailed work. especially when you're working with something like a fish or anything you need that grip, and that gives it to you. So I do like that. I like that in all the Finch knives. I really like the wood grainy finish on the G10. There's a couple other manufacturers that do this, and I really do like it. I recall seeing it on a steel wheel and a Benchmade. The Benchmade, it's a really popular one. I don't know why I can't think of the name of it right now, but they have this on there, and it just always looks nice, especially with the black. It's almost like a black micarta. I mean, you definitely don't have quite the micarta weave, but it just has a very good look to it. Adds a nice little detail. Another really nice little detail is the micro milling on this clip. It's so micro, it's hard to really capture it. There you can see it. See those little lines micro milled into the clip? It's not something someone's gonna notice when you walk by, but you know it's there. And it's nice. I really enjoy it. So many are just flat. So if this gets a little scratch or something, it'll be a little harder to see. That's obviously not rust or anything on there. It's just gunk and probably crap from my pocket. My pockets are usually dirty because I work with ink at work. So for all I know, that could be a little bit of ink on there. But no, just a very, very nice little touch. Adds an extra little bit of fancy flair to that with that micro milling. And I don't know why I noticed them, but I also really like the black collars here. I think it's because of the overall, the grainy finish on the G10. It doesn't blend in so well, so you notice it a little more, but it's a nice little black collar, and that is separate from the actual pivot, so that's kind of cool. Nice, but just a basic, simple look as far as the pivot. There's nothing flashy or annoying there. Just nice and simple. And very nice blade centering on this. I don't mention blade centering enough, but this is centered perfectly. Absolute perfect centering. So, and that's how all my Finch knives are. They've all been centered really well, and there's nothing that pisses me off more when I buy a knife and the blade centering's off. That really bothers me. I know you can fix it, but you shouldn't have to. If you're spending over $100 on a knife, it should just be centered right, in my humble opinion. But this one is, and as you can see, it is spot on. So that's always really pleasing to see. Really like that. The action on this guy, very good. For a little knife, sometimes the littler blades you struggle to really whip them out with much force, but this one really comes out really easily all day, no problem. You can push it out a little softer if you just do the little whoop. I did that on purpose. No, I didn't. But anyway, finger roll comes out nice. And if you want to really whip it out, you just dig your finger into the jimping a little more and it pops right out. So that's really good. No complaints on the action at all. I am noticing kind of like it feels like a second detent or an extra detent. I don't know. But, when you push the liner down, you can't, it's kind of hard to tell with the lighting right now. But you can see there's the detent ball in there. And normally, you just have to push it down to get past the first part of the blade. But this has a second detent right there. Right there. See? There's 1, 2. And I think that's planned. I'm going to assume that this is planned because if it's based for fishing, if it's supposed to be done for fishing, and you only have one hand, you want to be able to safely close the knife. So you open it, and then you push it down, and it catches it, and then you can just close it with the finger. And it's super smooth. I think it's a lot better than just pressing it down and risking the warning coming down and catching your finger, because this is a sharp knife. It will make you bleed if you let it. So activate there and just push it in. It's really nice. I got used to it, and it's kind of cool. Normally, I feel like that would be annoying, but since I know it was designed, like I said, I'm assuming, but I'm pretty sure it was designed for that as a safety feature. So it's there, you just break it, and it comes right in. And you can also get past it, too. If you push it all the way down, you see it. You see that real quick, second stop it had there? Just like that. That's kind of fun, too. But once you get past the detent, it's drop shutty. And it don't take much to get it shut. So that's really nice, especially for a smaller blade. Usually smaller blades don't drop shut like that. You have some big steel will knife or, a bigger Spyderco or something. That happens a little easier. But for such a small knife, that's pretty impressive for it to just drop shut like that. So that's really nice. So the action on this guy is pretty nice. You get used to that second detent, and you get used to it pretty quick. You really do. It doesn't take much at all, and you get used to it. I really like it a lot. So I'm a fan. It's a fun little, not the fidgetiest knife in the world, but it'll kill some time. It's fun to mess with. So the action there is all good, solid to go. And really, overall thoughts on this knife are pretty much all positive. I don't really have any real big complaints with it. Again, it's got that unique Finch flare that I deemed on the 1929. I'm probably going to use it on every Finch knife because I have yet. You compare this Runtly with the Takuna and with the 1929, and it's a really nice, diverse lineup. Even in size, too, because the Takuna is not necessarily a small knife. I would consider it a medium knife. But so much, the differences in the design, it's appealing to me because I don't want to be carrying the exact same thing or, the same similar models every day. So I really appreciate the diversity in design here. Yeah, a lot of different uses, a lot of different themes, and this one especially comes from some pretty cool inspiration. I think this would make a good gift for a fisherman, especially one that collects lures. There's actually a lot of people that collect vintage fishing apparel, gear, so there's a market for that, and I think this would appeal to a lot of people. So, all in all, I got positive things to say about it. Nothing real bad. I would recommend this if you like the design. If you want a smaller knife, I definitely recommend checking this out. And check out that new batch that just dropped, guys. Go check it out on Blade HQ. I'll go see wherever else it is, and I'll put some links in the description below for you guys to check out, or in the comments. But I'll link it up so you guys can find it a little easier. And that's all I got for this. Another solid offering from Finch. Hope you guys rock out the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.